What's up? What's up? What's up? How everybody doing out there today, man? I got a special guest on with me tonight, man. Jay County, Jefferson County. Y'all know when we had the Jay County on the jerseys. Hey, I don't think nobody else could do it but Coach Brown. We had Jay County on our jerseys. So I got Coach Brown with me tonight. But before we talk to Coach Brown, y'all know I got to play my theme music, man. Y'all already know he's a this person here from Jay County too that made this beat for me. So let's get started.
Listeners, y'all know what time it is. Chill, chill, chill. It's time to chop it up. Chop it up. Chop it up. Hey, hey. It's time to chop it up. Chop it up. Chop it up. Hey, sport. It's time to chop it up. News. Chop it up with KJ. Ooh. Podcast. Chop it up. Chop it up. Go ahead, tune in. Go ahead, tell a friend. Tell a friend. Tell a friend. News know we got the latest. Sports talk, we the greatest. Stay in tune with the street. With politics, all the beef. Hey, chop it up. Go ahead and turn this up a little bit. Chop it up. Put your podcast, AirPods in. Chop it up. Turn your phone up. Chop. Whatever you're doing. Chop it up. Sit back and enjoy this podcast with KJ. And now to the host of the show. Give a round of applause. KJ.
Hey, Coach Brown, they get me pumped up every time, man. They get me pumped up every time, man.
They got me fired up, man.
Coach Brown, they get me pumped up every time I come on here. How you doing today, Coach Brown, man? We're gonna have a great time tonight. Hey, man, this is another great episode. We chop it up with KJ, man. I got a great guest on, Coach Brown, man. I miss you, Coach Brown, man. It's just crazy, you know. Of course, I want to talk about Jefferson County, but first of all, I want you to come out and tell everybody, you know, if they don't know Coach Brown, I just want to talk a little bit about you. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. You know, like you said, man. You know, you brought back good memories when you started talking about that Jay County on them jerseys, man. That was the real deal, man. I remember when we busting them out, man. The kids were so excited about those jerseys, man, and they wore them things with they wore them with a lot of pride, and we won a lot of football games with them jerseys on, man. So that was really cool, man. But I'm good, man. You know, just over here in Panama City, man. Just kind of chilling and, you know, enjoying the summer, doing summer workouts with the guys over here at Bay High. You know, Katie, my daughter, you know, Katie was a elementary school student over there in Jefferson County, man. She just graduated from UCF, getting ready to go to grad school at Tennessee. Trey Dog was a elementary school guy over there, and he's in the Navy, and JJ was a little baby, and he'll be a junior next year. Cammie was a little baby, and she'll be a freshman in high school, man. So I'm getting old, and I keep telling all the players that we coach there at Jefferson County, man. I told David Crumley on the phone today and told him, I said, dog, I said, little JJ is going to be a junior next year, dog. I said, you're getting old.
Hey, man, hey, Coach Brown, I hate that you said it like that, because, man, I feel real old.
Ain't no doubt, man. Keyshawn, what, 21?
Yeah, he'll be 21 in November, man. I feel real old when you talk about your I remember all of them when they were small. Like, and you saying that that's and I'm glad that he's doing the Navy thing. I'm glad that all the kids are doing great, man.
Man, they're doing good. Katie, you know, she was doggone in daycare over there, man. So I mean, it's just, man, it's crazy, man. How all the, you know, kids are getting older. My wife's still teaching, and you know, she's doing, you know, still doing good. So yeah, man, no complaints, man. I think my biggest thing, man, is you know, just last time I went through Jefferson County, man, I called Lenore's because I thought they had moved Chicken Delight. He said it ain't open no more, man. It kind of got me a little bit disappointed, man, last time I rolled through there.
Hey, Chicken Delight, yeah, they closed it down, man. You get that 3-piece or 2-piece, whatever you want. That thing come out fresh and hot on you.
Look, man, when I was coaching over there and my dog Keyron was working the drive-through, man, you go there and order 1 piece of chicken. That dude give you about 15 pieces of chicken, man. He fed me. He kept me and my family fed a couple times over there when the money was tight.
Hey, then you had IGA right next. You had IGA right there beside Chicken Delight, man. Because it's been admitted. Like I ask a lot of people. They call and tell me a lot of, you know, about Monticello, this and that. I'm like, they ain't got such and such no more. Like we had the, you know, Chicken Delight, IGA, Win Dixie, because when after I heard Win Dixie's about to leave, is gone now.
I heard that too. Yeah, I heard that
So,
too.
and I'm like, them are corner store pieces back in the day. Like that's what we knew.
Oh, there ain't no doubt, man. I mean, from eating the from going up there every day on game day and buying all the Gatorades for halftime to going to Pizza Hut there and eating our pregame meals, man.
Hey, and that's what I was about to tell you, man. Them pregame meals, man. We had some great contributors on pregame meals. I remember we went to when we used to go out of town too. I think that was in did we go to, I forget where we used to eat the pasta at. Where that was Pizza Hut?
Yeah.
I thought it was somewhere else we used to go.
We ate at Pizza Hut. We ate a little spot over here in Panama City when we came over and played Bay High the year we won the state championship. We ate over here. So man, we had a lot of good support over there, man. Even the local churches, you know what I mean? They were great to, whether it was a pregame meal or, bringing pasta and stuff up there on Thursday evenings after practice to help out with the cramping on Friday nights. Like we had a ton of support when we were over there, man. It was very much appreciated. I can tell you that.
And we had to, Coach. You remember we had to get the pickle juice too with them cramps. We had to get that.
Oh man, that was on that. We only had about 22 guys on the team. Now we had 22 soldiers though, and we had from the doggone from the magnesium pills to the pickle juice to the bananas. I mean, we had to try to find everything we could to help out with cramping, man. Because we had to keep them up. We had to keep my dog Alfonso on the field. Now, if he came on the field, that was not good for the Jefferson County Tigers.
Hey, Coach, like you used to always say, we remember you used to go to the bar. We had dog soldiers. Remember we used to call them dog soldiers.
Yeah, man, had them soldiers, man. They had them dog soldiers, man. Back in the day, they would when they went to battle, they'd strap themselves down they'd lock themselves to a pole and fight till they died. They just wouldn't run away, and that's the type of kids we had over there, man. And that's the type of kids you won, and that's how you can win a lot of football games and beat teams you shouldn't beat if you got a bunch of kids that just won't quit, won't give up. And that's kind of the mentality we're trying to, we're trying to instill in these kids at Bay High, man. I said, look, man, you ain't got to have the most players, you ain't got to be the biggest all the time, but if you won't quit, you got a chance.
Yep. And Coach, you know it from experience because you've done it. You've done it.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Well, that's life. You know what I mean? Like, even as a husband, as a dad, I mean, as a dad, man, things get tough, money gets tight, you know what I mean? Adversity happens. But if you'll wake up every day and go back to work and just won't quit, you'll eventually get out of those hard times. We always talk to the kids at Jefferson. We talked to them about peaks and valleys when Coach Duke was there. You know what I mean? It was a game of football is a game of peaks and valleys. Life is a game of peaks and valleys. You're going to be down, you're going to be up, but when you get in that valley, man, you got to fight to get up out of there, and then when you're out of there, you got to fight to stay out of there, and that's life. I mean, that's how football and life relate, and that's what we're trying to. That's I think everywhere I've been, that's what I try to teach the kids.
And Coach, you saying that, man, I just feel like football builds so much character in kids, especially men. Football builds so much character in men. I feel like you play football, you're on a team. Not only looking out for the guy that's beside you, but the coaches and everything that go into playing football. I think that atmosphere is just different. I think that just helps a lot of kids be a man in real life. That helps a lot of character.
Yeah, and I think the thing, man, that what separates football from a lot of other sports. Me, man, I'm a basketball guy. I love basketball. We were chopping up about Larry Bird before we went on live. But the one thing about football, man, that still sets football apart from everything else. We live in a society now that instant gratification. You know what I mean? Everybody wants that instant gratification, and all these other sports, they play so many games throughout the year. You know what I mean? Whether it's AAU, travel baseball, whatever it is, they just play. They'll play 500 games. You know what I mean? Whereas football, it's still that one sport where you don't play football in the off season. You can play a little 7-on-7, but that's not football. And and so you're practicing all this time. It's so much more like work, so much more like a job than all the other sports, because you got to practice to play that one game on Friday night, but you got to practice throughout the year to only play a guaranteed 10 games. I mean, that's all you're guaranteed, because if you don't make the playoffs, that's all you're getting. You're getting 10 regular games. You know what I mean? So you relate that to life as well, like teaching the kids, like, hey, man, you don't just get up to go to work one day and then get a check when you leave. Like, you got to go to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes a month before you get a check, and trying to relate those things to using football to relate those things to get guys to understand, like, yeah, man, just because you're not getting paid on Wednesday, you still got to get up and go to work because you want to get that check next Wednesday. You know what I mean?
Right. Because guess what? Like they always tell me, especially because I'm in construction, they tell me somebody waiting at the gate to take your job over. So
that's right.
You miss a couple of days, we'll holler at you.
Exactly right.
We'll get somebody.
100%.
We'll get somebody else in here to replace you.
That's right.
Because somebody else want to feed their family too.
That's right. I was talking to a friend of mine today or yesterday actually that works in the I guess would be like an appliance industry where they fix appliances and stuff. And she was saying they just, they were getting ready to lay people off. And the first criteria for laying people off was people that hadn't been coming to work, people that they went back and tracked. These people have been calling in sick.
Yes.
These people hadn't been coming in consistently. And those were the first ones. And that's what we tell the kids, like, hey, man, the first thing you got to do is you got to get up and get here. You got to get up and get to summer workouts. Like, we're in the middle of summer workouts right now. Like, we tell the kids, like, hey, man, you got to get up and get here. Now, if you get up and get here, you're going to get better. We're going to get the work out of you. We're going to take care of all that. But you got to get up and get here. And that's a very, very important lesson with these kids nowadays.
Correct. By you saying that, Coach, and I tell all new guys that come into working in the construction industry that's new. I tell them, listen, you could be the sorriest, you could be the slowest, you could be you don't have no brain, no knowledge on what we're doing. But if you come to work on time every day, that's somebody they could count on. They will. You can hang your hat on. If you can hang your hat on, KJ gonna be. I know KJ. Unless something barring, he's sick. Something real messed up with him. I know KJ is gonna be here. I know such and such is gonna be here. But when you got that guy that he's a great worker, in football terms, he's a good football player, but you can't count on him to be the practice. So it's that's the biggest thing.
There's no doubt, man. You just hit it. You made a great point. Like anybody that comes, we can find somewhere where they can add value to what we're doing, whether it's welding, whether it's construction, whether it's football, doesn't matter what it is. If they come every day on time, we can figure out something they can do to add value to our business or our team, right, or our job. But that guy that's really good, like he's a master welder. He's a 2,500-yard rusher. If he only comes once a day, you can't count on him. So on Friday nights, you're really rolling the dice on. You don't even know if he's going to make it. You know what I mean? And then you're gonna give his reps away, but you're still gonna play him. So football is still so much like life, man. And that's what we got to. I think guys like you and guys we had on staff when we were there. You and Trey and Coach Duke and Coach Holohan, Coach Loper when he was there, Big Coach Mosley when he was there. You know what I mean? Even guys that people that helped on the back end. Mr. Crumity and Miss Footman, like pouring into these kids, saying, "Hey guys, what they're telling you is the truth." You know what I mean? Like you got to get up, you got to get up and get to work. You got to get up and I know when we get the job at Jefferson, there were so many people on the school board, people in the school system that told us, they said, "Man, those kids aren't going to go to summer workouts. You can't have summer workouts." And we said, "Well, yeah, they're going to come because that's the expectation. Because if they don't come, they won't be able to play." And what happened is every summer, those kids started figuring out how to get there. They started carpooling. Yeah, we had to go pick some up in certain situations. You know what I mean? But once the parents started seeing that we love those kids, and we were just trying to use football as a platform, man, to teach them about Jesus and teach them about life. Those parents bought in, and we started having more parents support the program, more people showing up at the games, and the people that benefited from that were the kids.
And Coach, man, you said a mouthful, Dan, because that's exactly what happened. And I hate. So I was dumbfounded when you had to, when they came up with the idea like you that you didn't have it no more, they didn't want you there no more, whatever. But I just didn't understand because the championship year, then the year after we were still good. I just didn't understand the concept, because I feel like if you were still there, I feel like Jefferson would have been back in the playoffs, or been farther in the playoffs, or been back to the championship by now. But it's just I feel like the old Jefferson been in the old ways for so long. It's a back and forth thing, and that's what just killed me with Jefferson. Like, you're still trying to run the old way. You're still trying to have the same concept as back in the days. This is not. It's not the same anymore. We should have been changing this up. If you didn't see what Coach Brown did, what the staff, that staff that you had did, I just didn't understand it, because it just dumb. I was just dumbfounded by it, because Coach Brown, when I tell you the chemistry, the everything that we had, you letting the kids stay at your house, we going to your house and watching movies, and I never seen so many kids in football got together to do one thing. And I've been around several programs, but I never seen it like that. The kids that we had, everybody wanted to be around each other and film study, and whatever we did, we're getting the pizza together, whatever we did. Coach Brown, you had that program. That's why I say I'm still dumbfounded. You had that program where you wanted it, and everybody, you had the whole community with it.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, man.
Yeah,
I think sometimes what happens, man, is people they're not necessarily concerned with the results as much as they want the process to be that they want it done the way they want it. You know what I mean? And I think there was a lot of things that they had tried to do over the years in Jefferson County to reach those kids, and they just didn't want to look in the mirror and say, hey, you know what, that way don't work. You know what I mean? And we brought a model in there like, hey, man, we're going to love these kids. We're going to hold them accountable. When we were there, the kids went to school, they went to class, they got their grades. They, for the most part, stayed out of trouble. I mean, but that's, you had some kids that, they were in trouble, and I got kids now that are in trouble. That's every school in America. You know what I mean? But we saw some good things. And I think the thing, I think one of the major things that happened at Jefferson when things kind of, things seemed to kind of turn for me was when, Dr. Ryan was the principal, and man, he had things going in the right direction. And then, he didn't, he decided to leave because they wouldn't do the things that he wanted to do. He knew how to change the school. He had kind of already started to change the culture of the school, and there were certain people that, didn't like the way he was doing it. And so they kind of, they wouldn't do the things he wanted to do. And then that's kind of, that kind of trickled down to me. You know what I mean? I think one of the main things I kind of saw the writing on the wall when, when I was working at the high school, and they moved me down to the alternative school. And then I got a call one day, and during the latter half of the year, during the recruiting time, when the coaches are coming and visiting and stuff like that, I was told that I could no longer go on the high school campus, that I just needed to stay at the alternative school. And I said, well, what about these coaches? You know what I mean? What about the coaches? I got to be able to interact and talk with the coaches. They want to see the kids. And I was told at the time, well, the athletic director can talk to the recruiters. And I was like, he doesn't coach football. It doesn't matter. And that's not when I kind of knew that, they were more concerned with doing it the way they wanted it done, even if they couldn't get the results, than maybe the way me and our coaches and you guys were doing it and getting results. You know what I mean? They weren't, they didn't care about the results. They wanted to do it the way they wanted to do it. So
correct. And that's the problem. That's been for years. That's
right.
been the problem.
Right.
Everybody in the school board wants to do it the way they want to do it. And that was a problem. You're not a football coach. You don't know coaching. You might know all this other stuff, politics and all this stuff, but you don't know nothing about coaching. So let the coach. And if I'm putting out bad results, then you could. But when I'm putting out good results, it's hard. When I'm showing good results, I just brought a state championship that we had in so many years. And then I come back the next year, we still good. And now I don't know what I'm doing. So that's my thing. Like Coach Brian, like, man, it killed me that happened, man, because after you left, like me and Trey, we tried, it was nothing against none of the other coaches that came after you, but it wasn't the same. And I knew the kids because like I just try to talk to the coaches that came after you. I was like, these kids are different. This is not where you was. These kids are different here. These kids, half of them, their grandma raised them. They mom. They don't have a lot of them don't have a full family to go off. And I tell people, it is big having your mom and your dad in the household. That's huge. That's huge. And a lot of our kids in Jefferson County, they don't have that. And
Right.
but when they have coaches that look out for them and that they know that's for them, they will run through a brick wall for you. And that's what
Right.
those kids did when you was there, Coach Brown. That's what those kids did.
Well, you touched on something earlier. You know what I mean. Having the team dinners at my house and watching film at my house with the guys. A lot of that was it was for team building, obviously, and it was all those things. But it also was able to, like you said, it was able for a lot of those kids to see what it was like. To see how a husband and a wife and a mom and a dad, act around their kids, to kind of model that for them. You know what I mean? Because we've known for years that the kids from back to Jefferson County to now, those kids are visual learners. You know what I mean? They got the devices and the phones and the video games. They're so visual. So you can talk about it, but sometimes they need to see it. You know what I mean? And being able to do that, even when Coach Spears was there, our first year when Coach Spears came in as the head coach and he brought me and Coach Boulware and Coach Duke and us in, doing that same stuff, being around his wife and kids at the time, like modeling, modeling what that looked like. And that was, that was big. That was really, I think that was really important for the kids to kids to see that for sure.
Yes. And by you saying that, Coach, another thing. So what I want you to touch on, man, this is big. Because before this, I didn't even know they done all this. Before I started coaching with you. When we went to Mariana, what is it called?
FCA camp.
FCA camp. I feel like that was big for us that year. But I want you to touch on FCA for all the football programs and stuff like that. I want you to touch on FCA for a second.
Yeah, FCA, it gives you a platform to, first of all, it gives you a platform to share Christ. I mean, that's what it's for. It's why it's called a Fellowship of Christian Athletes. But it gave us a support system too. We were talking earlier about a lot of the support we have, man. The North Florida FCA, brother Steve over at Madison County, Reggie Hutchinson over in Tallahassee, man, those guys did a lot to support us behind the scenes, buying Gatorades, sponsoring a pregame meal. Brother Steve, he still to this day, man, he sponsors a meal for us. We went over to Madison 2 years ago and he made sure our pregame meal was taken care of. I mean, you know what I mean? So we're just going back to, talking about relationships, you know what I mean? But FCA camp, man, that was such a big part of the program over there because we had such a, we didn't have a ton of players. They were a tight-knit, group, but most of those kids we coached in Jefferson County, like you said, man, they didn't come from the best home situations. They didn't have a mom and dad in a home, and going to camp and being around other programs that had, they realized that, hey, you know what, I'm not the only one. You know what I mean? I think sometimes the kids at Jefferson County, they're in their little nest. You know what I mean? And they think, man, I'm the only one in the world going through this. And then they go over there and they realize that they hear testimonies from kids at Madison and kids from Mariana and kids from Panama City. They hear testimonies from guys all over the Northwest Florida. They're like, hey man, I'm the same situation you are. You know what I mean? And it crossed all racial lines. It wasn't just the black kids, like it was the white kids too. You know what I mean? The white kids are coming from broken homes and addiction in the homes and all this kind of stuff. And then that last night of camp, when we get to get in that room as a team, man, the kids get to share their heart. You know what I mean? And when our kids got in there the first time and we heard some of those stories and we saw the pain and we saw the hurt that those kids were going through, and then they look over and their buddy who they've known their whole life but didn't know they were going through the same thing, didn't know their story. And once they learned that story, man, it brought our program together. It brought our coaching staffs together. We started relying on each other more. We started loving on each other harder as coaches, and the kids started loving on each other harder. And the byproduct of all that was winning. You know what I mean? A lot of people think that, winning took care of everything. No, the winning was the last thing that took place. It was all that other stuff that had to take place beforehand.
It was a lot of all that stuff that we went through before, Coach Brown, like you say, because that schedule that you put together, when we played Garby, when we played Bay that year. I think all of them was that same year. Bay, Garby, because I think Pugh had left and went to Garby. Didn't one Pugh at Garby when we played Garby?
No, Pugh was with us the year we won the state championship. Okay, but yeah, we played Godby, we played Wakulla, we played Bay High, we played Taylor County, and we played Gaston County.
Yes, and it was crazy because all those teams were stacked, like had 70 players.
We played North Florida Christian. We played North Florida Christian too. Because that year, us, Wakulla, and North Florida Christian all played in the state championship game in our classifications.
Yep. Because all of them was in because we played in Orlando. We played in Orlando. Right?
Yeah, Showdown in O-Town, baby.
Yeah, Showdown in O-Town. We could because I kept putting up the big. We make it to the big O.
Yeah, Wakulla ran into the buzzsaw down there, man. They played Norland. They had to play against Duke Johnson.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Duke Johnson ran all over them. I remember.
Yeah, man. Wakulla was good. Like North Florida Christian won it. Us and North Florida Christian won it. Wakulla lost, but Wakulla was really good that year too.
And Wakulla had them. I still to this day I be thinking because me and Trey talk about it. Man, Coach Brown, man, they had some bruises on that line, and we still beat them, and we still was on them.
Yeah, they beat us by. I think that year we won the state championship. They beat us by like 3. But
I'm about to say they beat us by a field goal. They beat us by
Lenoris didn't. Lenoris didn't play much that game because he had tweaked his knee, and so Alfonso was playing a little quarterback, but he had the AC sprain, so he couldn't really throw the ball. So we was basically Wildcat most of the night.
Right. I remember. Man, that season right there. Hey, Coach, I want you to talk about, man. Listen, and me and Trey talk about it every now and then. Man, Kenny. I want you to talk about Kenny for a second.
Man,
Coach.
Man, Kenny Madison is one of my favorite football players I've ever coached. Obviously, he had some, he had some off the field stuff, stuff we were talking about, you know what I mean? Man, not a ton of support, you know what I mean? Don't really want to get into a lot of that because that's his
right.
That's his personal business. That's his, that's the stuff he's dealt with. But I will say through a lot of that time, me and my wife, we stayed in contact with Kenny. You know what I mean? We supported him from a distance every chance we could. But I tell Kenny Madison stories all the time to my coaches now, to the kids. I show them the state championship game and how he just absolutely dominated the state championship game at nose guard, undersized, but just, man, but some of the things about Kenny that people didn't, that a lot of people don't know. I'm not even sure if but those summers, man, over there at Jefferson, when we were still doing two-a-days, we would practice in the mornings and again late in the afternoons. Kenny lived way out there in St. Phillips. And so he couldn't go home. If he got home, he couldn't get back to practice. And so a lot of times he would come to our house and babysit for us because me and my wife were still, we would have to work at the school during the day. And Kenny would come to my house and he would babysit Trey and Katie. And, there'd be times, man, we would come home and Kenny Madison would be in the driveway with Katie when she was in daycare. He would be sitting in the driveway doing sidewalk chalk with my daughter. And there would be times we would come home and he would be sitting on the couch and she would be sitting on the floor and he'd be braiding her hair. You know what I mean? And those are things about Kenny Madison that people didn't know, man. He had such a great heart, man. He loved people. My daughter, man, she absolutely adored Kenny Madison, like big brother, like just, we talk about Kenny, we talk about Kenny all the time, but man, as dog, as a football player, he was something else, man. He was something else.
Man, coach. When I tell you, I remember the Madison game. I think it was Madison and Perry. He comes to the sideline. He busted his hand open. He took his glove off. He bleeding everywhere. He got busted his hand open. He comes to the sideline. And I remember y'all telling him, you can't go back in right now. I pulled him to the side. I say, Kenny, I say, man, dang. I say, man, you gonna let the center do you like that? I say, man, you done bust your hand open. I say, you ain't playing no more or what? Man, we knew how to talk to different players. Because if they didn't come to you, so my thing was I used to always get them to the side and talk to her, but this and that. I'm like, man, you gonna let them go in your refrigerator and take your sandwich out? So I had told Kenny that night after he busted his hand. Coach, you remember he busted his hand open? His hand was bleeding everywhere.
Oh yeah, big time, yeah.
And he was like, man, because they didn't want to let him go back in. Miss what's her name?
Yeah, Miss Scott, Miss Jackie, and then
Miss Scott and Jack. They didn't want to let him go.
TLC, he was at the game that night.
Right. They didn't want to let him go back in. Man, kid came over there. I was messing with him about that. That joker put that glove on. He took because I gave him my glove because remember I used to have gloves on the sideline. I gave my glove. Man, that joker was KJ, ain't nobody going to my refrigerator. He that's what coach let me go back in. And man, he was just different. He was a different animal, man.
No, he was a different cat, man. I remember, I think one of probably my two favorite football plays that Kenny Madison ever had was they were both in the state championship year. The Trenton game. Well, first of all, Trenton. We came out after halftime and we kept telling them, hey man, they're gonna get in shotgun and they're gonna run midline. And we had been working on midline all week. We told Kenny, we said, hey man, we said if they don't block you, hit the fullback. Whatever happens, if they don't block you, hit the first back through. Man, they ran midline by the fifth play of the second half, and Kenny Madison hit the fullback and took the handoff and ran it back for a touchdown. Man, we'll never forget it as long as I live.
Remember that.
Then the next week we played Union County, and we were up by 2 touchdowns, and we were
Wasn't they purple and gold, coach?
Yeah, like LSU.
Okay.
Yeah, like LSU.
Okay, LSU. Okay.
We were getting ready to. We knew if we went up 21-0, like we were gonna have them. And man, we got the ball back, and Kenny Madison came over. He said, Coach, he said, run stretch. He said, give it to Alfonso. He said, I'm gonna knock the outside linebacker out. And we called stretch, man. And he did, man. He hit that outside linebacker, man, so hard. I said, good night. And Alfonso scored, and that was a wrap. That was ball game.
Yeah, man. He was a different one, man. We and the crazy part, and I be thinking about it, I'm like, because I used to tell Trey, I'm like, man, we only got 20. You know, we only got 22 guys, and half our guys except Nars is going both ways.
Yeah, like, and that was the thing too. The people didn't realize about Lenars. Lenars might have been one of the best defensive backs in the whole Big Bend, but we couldn't afford him to play there.
Right, because him at safety, or like you say, DB, man, it would have been crazy.
No doubt.
But yeah, coach, that's just crazy.
Yeah, and my
because,
man.
Hey, coach, hold on for a second.
Yeah, no worries.
Hold on for a second.
JJ, you going with your mom, right? I was asking if he was going with you so he can do the stem for you. You got the key thing?
Yeah.
Where's it at?
Put it back in the truck, I guess.
All right, we need to get it. You don't want to have it. I didn't have it.
All right, coach, I'm back.
Yeah, no worries.
What you saying now?
I was talking about Kenny Madison had the best had the absolute best post-game interview after the state championship game of anybody in the history of high school football. I put Coach Hallahan in charge of him to make sure he didn't do any interviews, man. And I was up there getting interviewed, and I looked out there and I was like talking to myself like, oh my gosh, where's Coach Hallahan? Kenny's over there doing an interview. And man, it was. I remember getting back that next week, and the whole team coming up like that Monday or Tuesday after school, and we ordered a bunch of pizza. And we sat in there and watched the live broadcast, the replay of the state championship game, and I hadn't seen it yet. And all the kids were like, Coach, we got to watch the post-game interview. I was like, what? It was, you got to hear Kenny. You got to hear Kenny. And we watched that, man. That jump was so funny, man. I'll never forget that as long as I live.
Hey, Coach, do you remember? And I know I shouldn't have told them, but do you remember I told all the kids they could cut my hair if we win a state championship?
I do remember that.
Do you remember? I told D all of them because when we made it past through the whole way, I told them, I say, we made it to the state championship game, we win, and let y'all cut my hair. And remember they cut my hair in the locker room?
I do remember that. Yep.
Yeah. They cut my dreads in the locker room. But that was my last time having dreads, Coach.
I remember that. Yep, down there in Orlando.
Yep, that was my last. Yep, that was my last time ever have hair on my head. They cut. I let them cut my hair. Man. Like I say, this was different for Jefferson County, man. That was that year right there was just different, Coach. I don't think you'd be able to, man, that's one of my best times. Man, just being on the sideline, to all those games, and not just championship year, but coming up to the championship year, all our Oklahoma drills and stuff like that, man, that built them guys up to us in the game, going both ways. All the running we did, all the running that we put into it, and the biggest thing that I want to commend, another thing I want to commend you on, Coach, that a lot of coaches don't do now, because I was about to try to go on a couple of times, because I've been still coaching track, but I've been trying to go on with football, but I just can't get with the chemistry that some of these teams got going on. So I just stay out of it. Because when you was coaching, we always preach, if you're not throwing shot put, or if you're a skill guy, if you're not running track, you're doing weightlifting, or how are we gonna do it? But Coach, you was always for that, and like I try to tell Fonzo and all them when they start running track. That next year, that Fonzo, after track season, man, he was blowing everybody out. They couldn't catch him. The year before, he'll get caught at the 20, at the 15. After that, it was just different. He just run past people. And Coach, one thing I want to tell you, man, and I told Nars this to his face, man, Coach, I'm still hurt. I still blame myself for the track meet when Nars got hurt at Lincoln. You remember that, Coach?
Man. Man, I remember that happened, man. No, man, that's that was probably in my 32 years of coaching, man. That was probably the weirdest, freakiest injury I've ever seen, man.
Man, that was a freak accident, and I was hurt. I tell Nars, I tell Nars and Trey to this day, man, that hurt me. I'm like, man, that because I felt like, because Nars was just an athlete. This joker threw the shot put 50 feet, Coach.
Oh yeah,
I had him throw it. He was just an athlete. I had him throw a shot put, and he could 23-foot long jump with no experience.
Yeah.
So he was just an athlete, Coach, and it hurt me because we was on it because everybody that went before him, they was kind of slipping themselves. And when Nars went up there, I'm like, and that happened, man. I'm like, oh man, are you kidding me? I'm like, man, Cole Brown gonna kill me. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, man,
yeah,
Cole.
No, I remember that happened, man. I was on the other side over there at the shot put and long in the shot.
I was about to say, because you was at the track meet. Yeah,
because I was over there because Brandon Whitfield, Samir, and all them, they were over there throwing. And I remember them telling me, hey, Coach, man, you need to get over there and check on Norris. And I got over there. I thought it was I thought it was his ACL or something like that. But the way he cracked his kneecap, I was like, what in the world? But I remember 2 or 3 weeks after that happened, man, going to TOC, taking Norris after he had surgery, taking him to physical therapy. And I'm talking to Jim at TOC and him telling me, like, Coach, he said, I've never seen a kid like this. He said, like, he's healing, like he's so much further along. And, crazy thing about Norris with that deal, man, is that happened in late February. And he was back fully clear when we went to FCA camp that year. He took every rep at FCA camp at quarterback.
With the brace.
Injury. That was one of those weird, freaky type injuries, man.
Man, it was crazy, man, Coach. And that right there, man, it had me messed up for a while. And Trey and Nars tell me, oh, that ain't your fault. That just happened. I'm like, man, listen, I had that on me for a while, like, because
we'd have let you could have wore that, but he made it back, and we won a state championship, and he went on to college and broke records at Alcorn State, and one of the best football players in the history of that school. And the rest is history. What did we say earlier? You know what I mean? The bad times build character, and my dog Norris has got as much character, if not more character, than anybody I've ever coached.
Hey, he is one of them dogs. He's a dog soldier, like you say.
Oh, there ain't no doubt, man. Him and Fonzo both, man. Those kids were two two kids in that, that came through that program, man, that, just really, there were so many of those kids, man, but a lot of those kids, man, just embodied what we wanted Jefferson County football to be. You know what I mean? Great kids in the community, great students, you know what I mean? Great football players. They embodied, you know what I mean? And we had and that was the thing, man. Out of those 22 kids, man, we probably had 18 to 19 kids that we could say that embodied the things that we wanted Jefferson County football to be about.
Coach, that's definitely. We had Dez, we had Tavares, we had
Denzel was
Denzel.
One. And Brandon Whitfield, Brandon Whitfield was one man that
Brandon Whitfield was one that was just he just did whatever you want him to do.
He was another one, man. He could throw the mess out of that. That shot put in discus, man. He got really good at that. His senior year, you know what I mean? I mean, Gene Noel, you know what I mean, guys. They came every day, they worked, they battled, and I think that state championship year, man, one of the neat things I think was when we got Levi and Tanner when they transferred over from Osceola Christian.
I was about to say Tanner. I was about to say Tanner on that offensive line helped a lot. That hadn't happened in Jefferson County in a lot of years. You know what I mean? You didn't get kids transferring into Jefferson County from Osceola, but you also didn't get the kids from Jefferson County accepting those kids when they came over. And man, the way that Lenoris and Fonzo and Kenny and Vontae and Dee and Gene, all those guys, how they kind of accepted. They accepted Tanner and Levi because all those kids, all they wanted to know was, hey man, we don't care what color you are, we don't care where you live, we don't care what school you came from. Are you about winning football games? Are you about coming to work every day? And once Tanner and Levi showed, like, hey man, we're right here with you. We're gonna work. Y'all can't break us. We're gonna do the same thing that everybody else is doing. And when they realized that, man, and that group came together, that was special. That was real special that year, especially with Tanner, because we didn't have a center. Right.
And Tanner came in and was able to snap the ball and kind of anchor that front, man. That was big for us.
Yes, it was. Hey, Coach, you said something about when you said Vontae and Gene and all those guys, man. D, man, it's crazy how, because D them had to go. You play receiver, if you play receiver for us, you play DB for us. If you play offensive line, you play D line. It was just our practices, Coach, that you had going on with the different groups. I remember we used to have different periods. We when you was there, I felt like we ran like an NFL, but we actually hit. NFL, they don't hit no more in practice, but we actually hit each other. You know, we'll tell if somebody hit somebody too hard, we got to calm down. We can't hurt our starting, whatever. You know what I mean? We can't be trying to hurt them, but this we gonna practice. We gonna do Oklahoma drills. We gonna hit each other, and because we going up against a team they could substitute how many players they want to. We going up against some big teams. They got 70 people on the sideline. We only got 30. We only dressed really 24, but
right.
But
and that was the thing, man. Like creating those practices, those controlled hitting times. You could go in there and hit, but you didn't. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily like full 11 on 11. But I think that state championship year, man, we had, when we found, we found guys that weren't necessarily starters, but some of those young guys were able to come up and be the scout team running back and give us a look. So Alfonso could go play defense, you know what I mean? But we still got a look. And, I remember talking that year as we got into the playoffs, like, we were like, man, guys, when we do our 11 on 11 scrimmaging, like our team peers, like it's pretty good quality versus quality. I mean, it was our ones versus some guys that wound up being really good, wound up being really good football players for us.
Yep. That was the thing. And like I said, you did a great job at mixing that up in practices and like goal line, all that stuff that we did. We got a lot of good looks. And we, Coach, when you was there, man, Jefferson County was on hype, man. Everybody came out. That, most counties, Perry, Taylor County, Madison County, all those counties, they shut down everything. They closed all the stores to come to the games on Friday night. And when you was here, that's what Jefferson did. With nobody at no stores, everybody was at the game on Friday nights when you was here. So
we had Death Valley rocking when had our guy Maurice up there in the press box, man, and we had it.
Yes,
man, we had it rocking. And I think one of the things too, man, we talk about the state championship year, but just talk about the importance of that year before. Devondrick, Keyron,
yes,
Big Trey, that group, Leroy, that group,
Leroy,
like the precedent they set that year before of guys. This is the new Jefferson County. This is the new Jay County Tigers right here. Yes. We're going to show up on Friday nights. We're going to be physical. We're going to be strong. We're going to be tough, and we're going to play till the last whistle in the fourth quarter, overtime, whatever it was. And the foundation that group, Coach Spears' first year, and then my first year as the head coach with that group, and then Lenars and them coming in, they had 2 years of winning. You know what I mean? They had learned how to win. They had learned what it took to win. And people always talk about how'd you get those guys to buy in? How'd you get those guys to come in the summer? Well, it was two things. It was relationship, obviously, but let's not be fooled. If we would have had those guys coming to the weight room those first 2 years and we'd have went 2-8 or 1-9, I don't think the third year would have ever happened. You know what I mean? Coach Spears' first year, we won the district. Second year, we went 9-2 or 11-2, got beat in the third round of the playoffs in the semifinals. And then that year, if they had the rural and private split where they'd have had the rural league, because we played we're the only public school left in it after the first round of the playoffs.
Because Coach, we played Fred Taylor's son down there, and wasn't it Fred Taylor's son?
No, we didn't. We played Warner Christian, and they had the two kids that transferred from Daytona Beach Mainland, but they had the
they had the two kids, the two running backs.
Yeah, the one running back went to Pitt.
Right.
He was the real deal. Now, if we'd have won that one, we would have played. We'd have wound up playing. Fred Taylor's son in the state championship game.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Glades Day.
Because I remember that year. We because we went down there because the other school we played was the Christian school, wasn't they?
Yeah, Warner Christian.
Yeah, Warner Christian was the Christian. I remember that we went down there and they was packed. They had it packed down there.
Yeah, they did, man. And that was the thing, man.
We should have beat them. And Coach, we should have beat them. We should have beat them.
We definitely should have. But
We should be.
that group, man, that Devondre's group, and then David and Deuce and then Keyron and Big Trey. You know what I mean? Like those guys buying in really helped lay the foundation for that state championship year, that third year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that did put the foundation down. But we, man, coach, like I say, and not only you just in football, man, you and that because you taught me a lot. Because I got big in because I knew about field events, but before I coached with you, I didn't know about field events. And after you left, I had got real big into track. I ended up being a head track coach,
Right.
With Samaria, and I had Samaria and Shan and Jakia. Man, we almost could have won state that year. I remember talking to you about it. We almost could have won state that year with them 3 girls because Mira and Shan was going back and forth and shot and disc, and then Jakia came out of nowhere and got and shot put. She got 8th place. So we was up there in points with them 3 girls, and they did the interviews and everything. But man, I never knew. Like even when I ran track in high school, I thought all the points came from running events. No, you win off of field events.
Win off of field events, man. You talking about Samaria. And I hope she's watching. If not, we gotta make sure we got to send her the link. But the Norris and Fonz and them, they used to always get mad but I still say it to this day. I'm not sure she's not the best athlete to come through Jefferson County the 4 years I was there. Man,
she was that deal. Because
basketball, field events, she could run.
She could run the 100.
Like Samaria could do whatever she wanted to do. She was one of the best athletes I've ever coached.
Man, she was something else. So it was crazy because the kids, they realized when everybody, I'm like Mira on the 4x1, and they'll look at me until they see Mira move, because Mira could move to be her size. She could move. Like when you could be on the 4x1. Yeah, she was throwing shot put and on the 4x1 team.
Yeah, shot put in the discus, and then went to college and was a hammer thrower at Alcorn. I mean, she was elite, man. She was an elite athlete. There ain't no question about it.
Yeah, and I told her when we did this sign, when she kept, because I was talking to the Alcorn coach, and at the time Alcorn was going through a couple different coaches or whatever. And I was like, Nars going there. Nars went there and this and that. So I'm like, when she signed with them, I was like, man, just go do your thing. Just go be you.
That's right.
And she went and did her thing. And like I see her now, because I talked to her when me and her talked probably about a couple weeks ago. I'm like, I see you, Mary. I see you getting back at it, because she's like in the gym, she's doing her thing now, and she done had a little girl, so she's like really at it now.
Yeah, so funny, man. Looking at, we're talking about all these, they'll always be kids to me. You know what I mean? But you looking at,
coach,
you look at Samaria, and she's not little Samaria that I coached. I mean, she's a woman, she's a mom, you know what I mean, and a great mom. And being around Norris now, being on my coaching staff, and being around Andrew and Ashton, you know what I mean, like Norris is always, he's always going to be a kid to me. He's always going to be my quarterback. But sometimes I take a step back and I say, man, that guy's a dad now. You know what I mean? Like, and a really good one. You know what I mean? So talking to Alfonso, you know what I mean? It's just really cool as a coach to coach kids and then continue the relationship with them over the years, and continue to talk to them and visit and interact and see them. It kind of goes full circle, man. It's one of the special things in coaching that I think we don't talk about enough. You know what I mean? The importance of maintaining those relationships. And that's always been important to me, not just, hey, once 4 years are over, you've served your purpose for me, you're done. Like, no, man, like like, man, I want to stay in contact. I want to know how you're doing as a whatever job you're doing. If you get married, you have kids. Like, I want to continue to be a part of your journey, and being able to have that. You're talking about these kids. It's all the kids I've coached, but this group at Jefferson County, still talking to guys like Gene and, Big Trey, he came over and lived with us in Panama City for a couple of years. And it was so special when me and my wife went to Big Trey's wedding. Like, we had no idea when we went to his wedding. We were just going there as friends of the family, you know what I mean? And we get there. He had us reserve seats up there with his mom. And then when we got to the reception, he asked me and my wife to get up there and speak on his behalf. And you want to talk about special. Now those are those special moments in coaching that a lot of coaches don't. I don't think they get to experience. And when we get to experience, we don't talk about it enough, just how special those type of moments are.
And that's what I want to tell you. That's I'm glad you talked about that, because and that's what made me excite me with track. When kids come up to me years later and they say, whenever they come up to me, man, Coach KJ, I remember something you said at the track that always stuck with me, this and that. And like you say, man, those relationships with those kids that you really feel like they're your own kids,
right?
Like you really want good for them, and that's why I say that's why I don't like I can't coach with everybody, because I pick my battles, pick my who I would want to coach with. Like in football, like I had several times that I could have went on a coaching staff, but I just didn't like the vibe, or I didn't like what was going on. So same thing with track. Like I got a coach that I coach with now. This year I was kind of working too much, but I've been coaching with him about 3-4 years now. And me and him met on a construction job, and me and he was talking about track. He was like, "Oh, well, you sound like you know a lot about track and this and that." And I ended up being this shot putting discus coach, and took 3-4 girls to Junior Olympics.
Oh, nice.
3 years straight. And so I took what you taught me with discus and shot put, and I learned a lot more with different coaches, and just just trying to make my craft better. And I'm a cross country runner. I'm a long distance runner, and
right.
I know about sprints and stuff, but I locked in on field events ever since you told me. You know what I mean? I never knew how big field events are, and us having 1 or 2 throwers or whatever, you could really win the meet with field events, long jump, triple jump, whatever it is. On field events.
Definitely. I know during our time at Jefferson, because especially a lot of the meets with like the state meet, right, with the small schools, you know what I mean? They didn't have a lot of schools they might not have a shot put thrower, but if you could get 2 or 3 people in there, even if you got 5th and 6th place, that's still some points.
Right. It's still points at state, right, or districts or wherever you're at. Because,
and that's the thing, man, over here, since I've been over here in Panama City, man, they don't let the football coaches, all we can do is coach football. They don't let the head football coaches coach other sports. And I hadn't really I've tried to coach basketball a couple of times, but they wouldn't let me. But I hadn't even let the cat out of the bag over here that I was an okay shot putting discus guy. I was an okay coach at that. I can't really let the cat out of the bag on that over here.
Well, Coach, you should let the cat out of the bag. But Coach, hey, and that's another thing I want to say. Like a lot of these coaches now, back when we was at Jefferson, because you let me do my thing, if the kids, like I say, if there was a sprint or whatever, you did sprints. You ain't got to run in the track meet, but you did sprint. You got to do some kind of conditioning. And if you was a big guy, you threw shot put this. If you didn't do that, you did weightlifting. You did weightlifting. A lot of these coaches now, they tell these football kids that they can't do nothing else. And I just think I think that's hurting the kid. I really
100%.
do.
And I think the thing at Jefferson, talking about, like when Mr. Brumfield was there as a superintendent, you know what I mean? So supportive of me, and we still talk to this day. And obviously Coach B being on staff, and the relationship we had and with Coach B and Mr. Brumfield. But when I went in there and told him, like, hey man, the one thing we got to have, we got to have a football weightlifting class. Like I've got to have those kids the last period of the day every day. And having that football class every day is what allowed me as a coach to say, hey man, go throw the shot put, go play basketball, go run sprints, go play baseball, go do what it is because the only thing I think that football kids need to do year round is lift weights. They got to lift weights. But I don't care what sport you're playing. I don't care if it's track, baseball, hockey, tennis, golf. You should be lifting weights. I mean, there's not a sport that you can play that getting bigger, stronger, and faster that make you better, right? So right. having the support of Mr. Brumfield, and then part of the like, well, we're not sure we're going to do that anymore. Those were kind of like non-negotiables. Like, well, no, that's why we were allowed to. I was allowed to tell the Brandon Whitfields of the world to hey man, we're gonna go out here and throw this shot put in this disc, and I can go work with you because I don't have to lift weights when you have school. We've already lifted weights. We did that during the school day. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things we're able to do over here is, I've got the kids the first period of the day every day. So we get them to school, they work out. Now during the off season, they got the whole off season to go play basketball, play baseball, run track, whatever it is they want to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and I just feel like that's what make a program good when you have all the coaches on staff together on the same accord. When you got the coaches that my players ain't playing this, my players ain't doing this, you really just hurting the program and the kids because you telling this kid that he can't do nothing else. Because he might not be a football player. He might be a baseball player. You never know. He might make it into something else. So he might be your star, whatever, a basketball point guard or your star quarterback or whatever. But at the end of the day, if he's good at both, let him try it out. Let him do it.
Right. That was the thing when we were at Jefferson, man. Like, obviously, having you, work with track, Coach Duke 1 year kind of helped out with track. I was the JV basketball coach, and then I worked closely with Coach Graham, and he was real supportive of Coach. Man, those kids lifted weights, but we were able to lift weights during the school days, and they were able to go to basketball practice, so there wasn't a conflict. But I think coaches being able to work together and be on the same page, because I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is the kid. It's not the win. It's not the agenda. It's not my record. It's not any of that. It's the kid. And when you get coaches that get on this, and the more coaches you have that say, hey, you know what? The most important thing here is this kid. Then you can have some success in a lot of different arenas.
And that's the problem, Coach. That is the problem. So I have seen a lot of coaching staffs and just going to a bunch of games and be able to be on the sidelines with a couple teams. Man, Coach, it's just now what I see is these coaches, they want to look good and want to act like everything's that's theirs. That like they came up with this and came up with that. Is no. Like is nobody, they want all the credit. They don't want to, to give nobody else the credit. And I think that's hurting the kids. At the end of the day, we're here for the kids when you coach, especially coaching high school. Now in college, I know it get different. College is a whole different ball game. But high school, I feel like it should be about these kids, making these kids be a better man in life. And for that's the problem.
I think, KJ, the one thing that's missing in high school football, especially nowadays, is there's not a ton of humility amongst coaches. You know what I mean? want it to be. So many coaches are so worried about the stuff that really doesn't matter. You know, they're worried about the record and the win and the accolades and where they're playing and, you know, the notoriety and all that stuff. And here's the thing. Football coaches, we're all a bunch of thieves. There ain't nobody coaching football right now designed anything. We're all still using stuff that they've been using for the last 30 years. Now we may tweak it and adjust it and change it, but when it comes to scheme, there ain't nobody out there creating anything, man. We're all using the same stuff from the same coaches, right? But then you get into, you know, like you said, you know, it's about the, you know, what you wear, and, you know, you got the backpack coaches, and you got, you know, it's what you wear, and it's all that stuff, and it's about me, and we forget that at the end of the day, when you're talking about kids, especially when you're talking about kids that don't have great home lives and don't have a mom and dad, and, you know, most of the kids, you know, let's be honest, man, you know, we talked about it at Jefferson, you know, like the biggest epidemic in America is fatherless homes. It's not alcoholism. It's not drugs. It's not any of that. It's fatherless homes. We don't have enough dads in the home. I think the year we won the state championship, I think at one point of the 22 kids we had on our roster, I think 15 of them didn't have an active relationship with their dad. And so you're talking about guys.
Correct, Coach.
You're talking about guys coming in, you know, guys like you and Trey and me and Coach Hallahan and Coach Duke and Coach Loper, Mr. Crumity, you know, guys that Coach B, even, you know, coming in and standing in the gap, right? We talk about standing in the gap. We talk about, hey, you know, that we're going to stand in and fill that void. We're going to give that kid a father type, you know, a father type figure. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes in coaching we forget that, and I think, you know, we get so caught up, and so many people think, well, that's just in the black community. No, dog, that's everywhere. Like we've got kids in our football team at Bay High. We got just as many white kids with not the best home lives as we do black kids. It reaches, that's not racial. That's human. That's a human problem. And we're all human beings.
Correct.
If we could all learn to show some empathy and all learn to be human, and you know, you start talking about, you know, you can't be humble, and you can't show humility without showing you're human, right? And if we could all start looking at a lot of different things that way, we could really evoke some change in this in our football programs. And, you know, we talk about, you know, the safest place in the United States right now is probably a football huddle. Like you get into a football huddle, you got guys from guys from all different racial backgrounds, all different socioeconomic backgrounds. Like you got kids with no mom, no dad. I mean, you got in a football huddle, you got it all, right? But those guys got to stand shoulder to shoulder and say, hey, for these next 4.5 to 5 seconds, we got to go out here and be on the same page.
I'm going to die for you. Yep, I'm going to die for you.
I mean, and so if we could, you know, if we could figure out how to, you know, get all the coaches to understand, like, that's the human part. That's the most important. That's the most important part, is that kid. And then it turns into that kid. Then it turns into those 11 kids in that huddle, and then those 50 kids in your program. And now when those kids graduate, you're seeing the Lenoris Footmans who are active in their sons' lives and are great dads. You're seeing the David Crumities who's going all over the country with his son, who's going to be a 4 or 5 star, you know, a 4 or 5 star recruit. You know what I mean? You're seeing kids like DeMontre Johnson, who's a great husband, who's married to and been dating the same girl since they were in middle school. You know what I mean?
Right,
you're seeing an Alfonso Footman who's involved in his kids' lives. Like, you see the byproduct of those things, and those are the most important things to me. Now, not every coach, that's not the same. A lot of coaches, it's the wins and it's the rings and it's the accolades. But for me personally, it's seeing the joy I get from seeing these guys grow up to be great husbands and great dads. And you know me, man, I'm as competitive as anybody you've ever been around. We walk out there on that field, buddy, we're going to work and we're going to be physical, and we're going to grind and we're going to prepare and we're going to win games on Friday night. But that's the byproduct. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is the relationship. And then the wins, usually they take care of themselves.
They take care of themselves. Hey, Coach, you said a mouthful, man. They take care of themselves when you do all that stuff off the field. A lot of people don't realize how much stuff goes on off the field to make the like you say, the byproduct on the field. That's why the chemistry is so great. That's why everybody flying around wanting to be the best. Everybody hate to fail the next person because we done been through everything together. We done this in practice already. This is easy to us now. This is the easy part, playing the game. We have in practice, coach has ran us to sleep and we have done everything in practice, going at each other. If we could beat each other, if I could beat you and you the best receiver or you the best DB around, hey, and when I get in the game, it's nothing. And when coach showing me on film that this guy does this in the game, and coach, coach, because I remember you telling us, I think we played Perry, or I forget who it was, but that when the linemen kept moving, he moved a certain way when it was a pass, and he moved a certain way when it was a run. And I remember we kept going over it. You say, now I don't know if this is just one play. I think we watched 10, 12 plays. He did the same thing, whether it was a pass or a run. His foot went out, or I forget what it was. But
I remember exactly what it was. It was actually North Florida Christian, and their left tackle. Every time he staggered his foot, it was a pass, and when he got an even stance, it was a run.
Okay, Coach, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I remember
exactly
that.
What you're talking about. I remember watching the film that Saturday and saying, "Hey, man." So in the games, man, we were able to teach that outside linebacker, and that's how we were able to take the bubble away. We were like, "Hey, if they got a slot receiver there and that guy staggers his foot back, play the bubble. If his feet are even, don't even worry about the bubble. Get downhill and attack the run."
That's exactly what it was. I remember when we went over it, and I remember in the film because I remember you have all the coaches. You have separate. We used to have separate video times with offense and defense, but we had a coaches one with all the coaches was in there, and we went over it. And I remember you going over, and that's what it was. That offensive lineman. It was one Pacific offensive lineman. I forget what number it was, but he did that same thing every time. We knew it was a run or a pass, and that's how we defended them pretty that good. And it's stuff like that. Just like some of the cornerbacks, some of the receivers that me and Coach Loper and Trey, we talked to the receivers and DBs. You could tell their tendencies. This DB, he's already backing up. He's in his back pedal already 10 yards. So we could throw a slant on him. We could throw certain things on him because we already know what he's gonna do.
Right.
He's predictable.
Right. We knew in the state championship game when by the time we got into the game and we got in trips, like we knew that Chipley was going to try to stay in cover 3, and we just told Norris, "Hey man, as long as you can read that safety, we can throw 2 seams." And D just happened to be the beneficiary of that because I think Norris throwing 3 touchdowns on the seam routes.
Oh yeah.
Which anytime throwing it to D wasn't a bad decision because he was pretty good with the ball in his hands.
He was pretty good, especially on that smoke route. And he's the best I've ever coached he's the best I've ever coached at the smoke route, and David Crummeny's the best I ever coached at running the middle screen. Hey, Coach, that smoke. All
day long. You already know.
Hit that smoke route. It was, and another one, man. We was pretty good on, man. That wheel route too. That wheel route. We used to kill him on that wheel route too.
Oh yeah, for sure. There ain't no doubt. Especially that wheel route was really good when you had Devondrick coming out of the backfield running it because he was pretty fast and he could catch.
Yeah.
People didn't realize about my dog Devondrick too, man. He was a hell of a free safety too, man. I mean, I know he played running back in college.
He
man.
was.
Devondrick, man, he was an unbelievable DB, man. I remember that his senior year when we beat North Florida Christian, he hit that dog on Travis Blanks on the post route, and it was something serious, man. I mean, it was unreal.
I remember Travis Blanks. I know you're talking about. Yep.
Because you know now you remember this now. You remember we get in that weight room before the games, man, and we'd get to playing that music, get the kids ready to play. And when that doggone Mystical "Here I Go" came on the speaker, it was go time. Somebody was fitting to get it.
Somebody was about to get it. Somebody was about to get it. And when we used to come out that locker room, man, going to that field, man, it was just different on home games, man. It was just different.
Oh, there ain't no doubt, man. There ain't no doubt. You kind of walk right by the concession stand, and the food was cooking. And how about that year? How about the Vondrick and them senior year? We're getting ready to come out, and the kids that told me, they said, "Coach, we're gonna do something a little different tonight for pregame." And I said, "Hey, man, whatever y'all, as long as it's appropriate, whatever y'all want to do, I'm in." Man, we came walking out the locker room. Them fools had a hearse parked out there right before you walked on the field. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
Man, I was like, what in the world? And then they was like, yeah. And then they walked there and they all touched the hearse. I was like, what in the world is going on right now? Yeah, I'll never forget. Miss Son let them. She got a hearse, brought a hearse down there and parked it right before you walked on the field. Man, I was like, what in the world? And just for the record, I had nothing to do with that, by the way. I got a lot of phone calls on that. I had absolutely nothing to do with it. I had no idea they were doing
it. and you know another thing too that I don't think they do it no more. But man, like you said, we had Maurice on the mic in the stand talking about footman to footman. We had Maurice footman to footman. Then we had the David on the cannons, man, shooting the cannon, man. It wasn't nothing like that shooting the cannon, man.
Hey, the best thing
about
the best thing about the cannon was we used to make sure that we used to tell him on the first touchdown. A lot of people didn't realize this. We'd say, "Hey, I remember this. Go ahead." On the first touchdown, we always tried to find the referee that was closest to our sideline, and we would try to get that cannon as close to him as we could before we shot it off. So on film, we could see how high he jumped.
Yeah.
And so when we watch film on Saturday morning, the first thing we would do was say, "Hey, man, we got to go after the first touchdown. We got to see how high the referee jumped, man." And that used to be some of the funnest times in there laughing about them guys jumping when Mr. Crumedy shot that cannon off.
Yeah, I remember, Coach. Like, man, shooting that cannon was it. Mr. Crumedy shoot that cannon. It was something else. Like we already know the cannon about to go off. We already know when the cannon about to go off. We get down there and Coach called stretch. He called power. Man, we already know what's about to happen, man. We go ahead and shoot the cannon.
No doubt. That was good times.
Man, them was real great times. But hey, but Coach, I want to Coach, how long you been at Bay? And I want you to talk about because I think I came down there to a Bay track meet and you was at Bay at the time, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, I know when a couple of years after we moved over here and you had just got into doing the welding. You remember when you came over and
yes.
Stayed at the house with us for a couple of nights. You crashed on the couch. So my dog was trying to save us per diem.
Oh yes, sir. Do you remember that? Because I was working at what's that?
Right there in Lynn Haven. You was at the paper mill.
Yeah, Rock. It's called Rock something. It's right there in Panama City. It's called Rock something. I forget the name of it, but yeah, I had called you and because I was talking about moving to Panama City at one time.
That's right. And you were talking. I remember you were talking about saying you were going to be over there, and you were like, "I'm gonna get a hotel." You talk about your per diem. I said a hotel, and I said because I remember asking on the phone. I said, "So if you don't stay in a hotel, you still get the per diem?" And you said, "Yeah." I said, "Come stay at our house." And he was like, "You don't mind?" I said, "Heck no, man. Come on."
Yep. And I was over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, man, your time when you got to Bay. So when you got a head coach job at Bay, because you've been there how long now, Coach?
Well, I was at Mosley for 8 years, and then I've been at Bay. I'm going in. I just finished my 4th year, so I've been at Bay High for 4 years, going into my 5th year now.
Okay, I forgot. Yeah. You was at Mosley first. You was at Mosley.
Yeah, I was at Mosley for 8 years. Yeah, and that's when you came over. I was coaching at Mosley. I think that's when you came over for a track meets when I was at Mosley. Yeah,
it was. You was at Mosley because they was green and orange, right?
That's correct. Yep, just like the Miami Hurricanes. Yep.
Okay, right. And they're the Dolphins. Wasn't they the Dolphins?
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've been at Bay High for 4 years. I'm going into my 5th year. That's that's where I graduated from. That's my alma mater. So that was kind of always, kind of a bucket list kind of job. You know what I mean? I think every coach would always love the opportunity to go back and coach at their alma mater. And so me and being able to do that, man, it's been a really fun 4 years. We've put some guys in college. I think one of the things we've done one of the things I'm probably one of the most the proudest things is that, in the 4 years we've been there, I think we've had 11 football players that have joined the military that are actively serving in the armed forces right now, which I think is a testament to our program and our coaches, on the field. When we got the job at Bay High 4 years ago, they hadn't won a district championship in like 20 years, and we've won 3 of the last 4. So we've had some success on the, on the field. Got a great principal. Her and I grew up together, went to high school together. She's super supportive. We got a great administrative staff, great teachers. I've got a really good coaching staff, man. Got some guys on staff that kind of the same model we used at Jefferson. You know what I mean? Finding guys that,
right,
that wasn't as concerned as much about, how much football, want to know if you love kids and you're in it for the right reason. And I've been fortunate to hire some guys that know a lot of football, and they have the same philosophy I have as far as loving kids and using football as a platform to share Christ with them and to teach them how to be good young men. So it's been fun, man. It's been a fun 4 years. JJ, my son, my youngest son, is going to be a junior next year. So it was kind of perfect timing. I got the job his 8th grade year. And so a lot of guys that I've coached growing up with him through Little League that are in our program now, kind of a perfect storm, kind of getting to coach him and coach those guys and continue the relationship with them, man. It's been a lot of fun, man. And I think the next 2 years, man, is gonna be a lot of fun. I think we got a chance to, if kids keep progressing and keep working and doing the things we're asking them to do, I think we got a chance to continue the success on the field.
That's great. That's great, Coach Brown, man. Because I done been around you, man. You just ooze off of just people want to be around you, and just how you coach and how you, like you say, with your coaching staff. That's why I say it's all about. It's just me. I just can't work with everybody. And that coaching staff that we had at Jefferson, like you said, you got the same kind of coaching staff, and I know you do because you got Norris up there. So I know Norris came from your tree at Jefferson County. So
yeah, that's one of the things, man. It's really cool about the coaching staff now is I've got
that's big.
I've got 3 former players on my staff. Lenoris, coaching the quarterbacks, obviously he's on staff. Darian Brown, who played offensive line for me, he's coaching my offensive line. And then Avondre Hardy, who played for me, he's my defensive coordinator. So, having 3 young guys on staff that played for me, that kind of is still the playing days are still pretty fresh, so they kind of know what to expect. But then I've got some guys that I grew up with, Ty Steele, Jermaine Hill, guys that I've known. We grew up together that are on staff. Great, really strong guys in the community. Rollin Humans, man, I've got some guys on staff, man, that love kids, and guys. Coach Bailey, who's my running backs coach, but he's also the culinary teacher at Bay High. So I've got coaches on campus. You know what I mean? I've got some coaches that are in the building. My head JV coach was we were high school teammates. He played quarterback for us when I was in high school, running my JV program. So we've had a lot of continuity over the last 4 years. We hadn't had a ton of coaching turnover. And I think in today's world, when you're, like we were talking earlier, about kids that are, maybe not have the most stable home lives, and they got different stuff going on, showing that continuity and that consistency within our coaching staff has been huge for the kids in our program. I think that's one of the reasons we've had some of the success we've had.
And I feel like that's exactly why you had the success you had, because I just feel like I don't care if you got. So when I look at it, because I see a lot of it within track, I see a lot of staff that they have all these big names, and I see the kids that they have in certain programs. They only want to work with certain kids, and I just feel like that's wrong because in track and in football, anything, every kid deserves a chance. So just because this kid's not that good right now, if you put your touch on him, you can make this kid, especially a kid. I want a kid that want to work. I want a hard worker way before the kid that just got all the talent.
Correct. Correct.
It's hard to find kids that just want to work every day. Like come out there, put they all into it. They might not be that good at first, but they still come to practice, even though they're getting their behind whooped. They still come out there every practice, their own time, and they still want to work. That's the kids that you want to build, to help you build your program, and it's gonna help out a lot. And if your star player, your kids, they doing the same thing, this kid gonna look at them and want to be them. So
Right.
I just see a lot of programs, they just like push the kid that is not that good or whatever out the way. And like you know what I mean? They don't have time to deal with that kind of kid.
Right. You were talking about a
see
kid
that a lot.
earlier. You were talking about a kid earlier that we had at Jefferson, Shavaris Alexander, you know what I mean? Shavaris 9th and 10th grade year, man, he was not very big. We knew he could run, but we looked at him different. He wasn't a running back, he wasn't a receiver. But the one thing he did, man, he came every day. Like we were in the weight room, he was working hard at practice. He was, his 10th grade year, he was okay being a scout team guy. Junior year, he was okay with being on special teams, and we wound up moving him to linebacker. And I mean, Cat wound up having like 80 tackles his senior year, and it was just wound up being a really good player. But He also played offensive tackle. You know what I mean? Like I told him, like, hey man, we need you. And he said, Coach, I just want to get on the field, whatever we got to do to win. And I mean, you know what I mean? And just those are the type kids you're talking about. You know what I mean? Those kids in your program that, early on, the first few years, they're whether they're late bloomers physically, they're late bloomers mentally, they don't get it yet. But if they're willing to come every day and they're willing to work, most times you can, like, we were talking about adding value. You can figure out a way for those kids to add value to your program if you're willing to keep your thumb on them a little bit.
And that's the thing, Coach. Like you're willing to keep that kid there, willing to show that kid you ain't got to be the best, but we're gonna treat you the same way as our best player, because I think they just get misconstrued a lot of times where you got. And back when I was coaching at Jefferson, like I got cussed out a couple times by a couple of parents. I tell them because I had came up with because I think me and you talked about it. I came with the rule: if you don't have a 2.0, you can't run.
Right.
And I told them on Tuesdays is my parent meeting. And my parent meeting is gonna be after practice. Don't come to practice thinking you're gonna talk to me. So, and then I had a couple parents. Well, my child the fastest girl. Well, that's fine and dandy. They ain't got the best grades. They're not running. I just told you 2.0. Well, that ain't what the schools say. All you got to have is 2.0. I say, well, if your child, just think about this. If your child failed one test, that 2.0 is going out the window.
Right.
So now what?
Right. And that's what we get in, that's when you get into the, it's so many adults, parents, adults, they want the Friday night, they want the track meet, they want, they want the event, but what are you doing to get them to the event? You know what I mean? You won't get them up and get them to school. You won't get them home at night and make them sit down and do their homework. You won't get up and feed them break, like all the things like we talked about, the track event, the 100 meters or the shot put or the long jump, the high jump, the football game. That should be a byproduct of all the stuff you've done during the week leading up to that. Well, if you skip all the stuff during the week, what gives you the right to do the fun stuff on Friday night, right? Or the fun event, right? Or the track meet. You know what I mean? So that's the disconnect. And I think that's one of the constant things in coaching that we have to deal with all the time is getting the adults to buy into, it's the stuff leading up to that track meet, that event, that football game, basketball game, whatever it is.
Yeah. Because that's just like in work, like in my job now. I try to tell people, I tell people at work, my boss or whoever I'm talking to, like, your time's not more valuable than mine. So if I could show up on time, you should be able to show up on time. You shouldn't think your time more valuable than somebody else's. And within coaching, I always tell people it's across the board. Just because you're my best athlete, or just because you my least athlete, it doesn't matter. I'm going to treat you the same way, because when kids going to see, Coach Brown treat such and such, they get more favoritism. They get to come late to practice, and I get cussed out if I come late to practice, or whatever the case may be.
Well, that's one of the things that, Coach Cignetti in Indiana, obviously they had won a national championship, had a great year. And that's one of the things he's really, I watched a couple of his interviews and did some research on him this offseason. And that's one of the things he talks about is the importance of time. Like the one thing he even talks about with his coaching staff, like guys, I don't expect you to be in the building, 18, 19 hours a day. I expect the 6 hours that we're in the building, I expect you to give me your best. And then the rest of the time you go spend with your family. And he said the same thing with the kids. He was like, we don't have to practice for 3.5 hours. He's like, if you give me what you're supposed to give me for an hour and a half, we can be done. You know what I mean? And I think what you said is huge, correct, man. Like getting people to understand, like, your time is no more valuable than my time. Like, it's all of our time is valuable. Like, let's respect each other's time. You know what I mean? And I think, you're talking about kids and, being fair. I think Bobby Bowden, always said it the best. He said, not going to tell you every kid is going to be treated the same, but they're going to be treated fair. You know what I mean?
Correct.
We're going to treat them fair. And I think that's the thing. Like, and here's the thing, man, being late is being late. Like, being late doesn't matter if you're the starting wide receiver or the scout team offensive guard. Being late is late. That's a standard.
It's
like
late.
there is no fair or the same with being late. Being late is late. Being on time is the standard. You know what I mean? And
yep.
that's what, once you get that type of buy-in, like we had a kid yesterday. Yesterday was our last day of basically our first 4 weeks of workouts. We're going to take next week off, the week after the 4th. And kid called me Wednesday night and, Coach, I'm not going to be able to make it to workouts tomorrow because I got called in to work. And I said, okay. I said, well, you got to get your workout in. And he said, yeah, Coach, I'm going to reach out to Coach Bailey and see if he's going to be up there early. I'm going to come in the morning at 6 and get my workout in. I said, hey, dog, that's perfect. We called Coach Bailey, who's also our girls weightlifting coach, who's already going to be up there. So the kid came in at 6 o'clock yesterday morning and got his workout in. Well, most kids would have said, well, that's the reason. That's a good excuse. I got to get called in to work.
Right.
And
right.
I didn't even say, he just said, Coach, I'm going to get my workout in. I said, hey, man, get it in. Just figure out how we can get your workout in. Even if I need to come up to the school on Friday and let you in the weight room. No, Coach, I'm going to reach out to Coach Bailey and I'm going to come in being able to tell the kids, like, hey, guys, I know y'all look around and, I'm not going to call the kid's name, but he wasn't here today. But, guys, he came in this morning at 6 o'clock and got his workout in. Well, that's meeting the standard, right, because the standard is you got to get your workout in. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So that's if we can, in the programs, we can start building that type of culture, you're going to probably have some success.
You're going to have some success, Coach. And that's big. Instead of him just saying, I got to work, I can't come in, he made sure he figured it out. Because that's just life.
Or most kids call you after the fact, Coach, sorry, I couldn't make it to workout today. I had to work. Right. And, you know what I mean?
And that's life. He figured it out because he's going to have to do that. You got to do that a lot in life. You got to make decisions.
Communication is important.
It's everything. Communication is everything.
It's important.
Because just like I tell guys at work, it is real important. You can't, you're going to be late. You can't call 2 minutes before you about to be late and say, I'm going to be late. Well, how long you knew this?
Right. If we're working out, if workout started at 8 o'clock, you can't call me at 8 o'clock and say, hey, Coach, I need a ride. No, dog.
Right.
I got these. I can't do nothing about that right now. You called me this time because you knew I couldn't come get you, right?
Right.
That's what you did.
And I tell people too, late is late. If you 2 minutes late, because a lot of guys, I was only 2 minutes late, it doesn't matter. I tell them all the time, if you 2 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour, it's the same to they gonna look at you the same. You're late.
Late is late.
Late is late.
Yeah.
And they be like,
I was talking to
this.
Trey, my oldest son Trey, when he was going through boot camp at the Navy.
Mhm.
And he said, I think he had like 60 guys in his group, and he said like 40 of them made it. And I said, man, what did the guys that didn't make it? Was it because they just couldn't do the physical stuff? He was like, no, Dad, it had nothing to do with that. I said, what was it? Like, I was shocked. I thought that's what it was. He said, Dad, they wouldn't get anywhere on time, and they couldn't listen. And I said, what? He was like, yeah, Dad. They were just late. They couldn't get out of bed, wouldn't be on time. He said, then they would give us simple directions, and they just wouldn't follow directions. And I tell kids all the time, like, hey guys, if you don't think being on time and following simple instructions are important, you're crazy. Because that will get you dismissed from a lot of jobs, teams. I don't care what it is you're doing. You're not going to be successful at what you're doing if you're late and you can't follow simple instructions.
Yep. Because like I said earlier, I tell guys, you could be the sorriest worker on the job site, but if they could count on you to make it there every day on time and be there, they know you're gonna be there.
Yep.
You'll keep your job because they're figured out. They'll figure out what to do.
They'll find something you can do to add some value.
But at the end of the day, they're gonna say, well, we know one person. We got a good head count. He gonna be here. We counting on him. He gonna be here. Now he might not do much, but he gonna be here.
That's right. And when that one job comes up, when they need that guy to work overtime, they need that guy to. It might be a menial type job, but they need somebody to do it overnight. They're gonna call that guy and say, hey, you know what, man? You come every day. I know I can depend on you. This job right here is more about you being here than what you do.
Right. Because we getting paid for you to be here. That's
correct.
These companies getting paid for you showing up and being there.
Exactly.
But man, yeah. So, man, Coach Brown, man, it like I say, I got to get you on. I got to get you on here with Nas and Fonzo and Trey. We got to get a. I'm gonna get all y'all on here, but Coach Brown, man, thank you, man. I already knew he was gonna be a great guest, but before you get off here, man, how was that feeling that night when you got that Gatorade? Because you tried to run from it. When you got that Gatorade poured on you, and just afterwards, man, the whole thing was just crazy. It happened. It seemed like everything happened so fast after we beat the mess out of Chipley, and I meant to bring that picture here to show you. I got that. You remember that picture I got framed? The picture of I got the ticket in there, and with the score and all that. But Cole, how was that feeling? That whole game, it seemed like that whole game plan we came up. I just knew it was about to beat the brakes off them from watching they film, because they were supposed to have two best running backs or something like that.
Yeah, I think when we were talking about Kenny Madison earlier, and I think I think one of the things that he said in his post-game interview after the game that was really true. You know what I mean? We came in at halftime, close game. There wasn't any panicking from us as coaches. There wasn't any panicking from the kids. Like, they were like, okay, we all felt like, okay, we come out the second half, we know what adjustments to make. And Kenny said, in his post-game interview, I'll never forget it. He said, man, we came in at halftime and Coach Brown gave us some encouraging words, and we just went back out and we do what we do. And that was really it. We just went out the second half, man, and just played our type of football. We kind of made some adjustments, and but I think, man, after the game, man, honestly, now I was trying to get away. I was trying to get away from the Gatorade and the water, because it was pretty chilly down there in Orlando. And to be honest, I wasn't. We had spent the night, the night before, but I wasn't sure how buried my suitcase was, and I wasn't sure if I was going to have any dry clothes to wear home after the game. And so I was a little bit nervous about that, but I was able to get some dry clothes, so I was good. But yeah, no, I think, looking out there, man, the hugs from the guys, I remember one of the first guys that came up and hugged me as the clock ran, hit the double zeros was Alfonso. You know what I mean? And I know how special that was for him. I know, all just the trials and tribulations he went through, his 10th, 11th. I mean, the kid played tight end for us as a 10th grader, receiver as a junior. His senior year, he comes out and rushes for over 2,000 yards. But I think when I got up on that podium, KJ, honestly, and they presented me with the trophy and my medal and looking out there off the platform and seeing the team, man, and seeing just how excited and how genuinely excited the kids were, you were, Trey was, Coach Hallahan was, Coach Loper, just how genuinely excited everybody was, man. It was a special moment. And then, I got out to the bus. I don't know if I ever told you this, but we got in the locker room and, we had to get the kids dressed and, they didn't realize that, us playing the night game was probably a terrible idea because all the kids on our team were slow. And so they always stayed in the locker room for a long time. And we were like, hey guys, we need to get dressed. We were trying to get on this road and they were just so excited. They didn't want to, they were talking and taking pictures and all this and that. But, so by the time we got on the bus and, I don't know if you remember, but we ordered the pizza for post game and the pizza people didn't show up with our pizza.
Oh, I do remember that. I do.
So we were like, man, what are we going to do? So I got Mr. Crumbly and he said, Coach, he said, the McDonald's over on Orange Blossom Trail is open. He said, we're going to call and order about 400 cheeseburgers and some fries. And we got waters and Gatorades for the kids. We had to go over there and get all that stuff and feed them on the bus. And I don't know if you've ever been to Orange Blossom Trail, but it was a challenge keeping our kids on the bus.
Hey, I was about to say OBT. That's what they call it.
Yeah, we had
call it OBT.
Trying to keep the Ravantes and the Kenny Madisons on the bus. That was a whole nother challenge in itself, right? But once we got fed and got on 8 and we got going, I turned my phone on and I think I had probably 130 missed text messages from people, congratulations. And I think that's when it really hit me like, oh man, we just won a state championship in the state of Florida. You know what I mean? And so it was, man. And then riding home, I remember we got off in Greenville and came down 90 the rest of the way home. And I didn't know that Mr. A-Man and Mr. Boatwright had already told Mr. Crumbly that, hey, make sure y'all come down 90 because, the roundabout there by the bank, they already had the billboard put up that said Jefferson County State Champs. Yeah. And I think riding around that and the guy blowing the horn and the kids hooping and hollering and taking pictures of that sign, man, that was really cool. That was really, really cool.
It was a great time, Coach Brown, man. I want to thank you for being in Jefferson, for coming down there, man. You and your family. Y'all was great to Jefferson County. Like I say, y'all always been great to me. And anytime I ever needed anything or needed to talk to anybody or anything like that, man, Coach Brown, you always been a great person to hit up. And always, like I say, like you say, you got that Jefferson County kind of coaching staff. And I feel like you always made a great coach staff for yourself. Thank you again. I don't know what Jefferson was thinking about again. But
well, man, the good Lord has a plan, and it's all about His timing. But man, I just want to tell you, man, I have a ton of respect for you. What you did for us, that believing in me, and we didn't really know each other until we got there, but kind of seeing our vision and wanting to be a part of that. You know what I mean? You and Trey, and man, that was, you guys are special to me. I consider y'all family, not just not just friends or coaches, but family. You know, the same thing. Anytime I've ever needed anything, and you know, I can always reach out. And I know you're gonna answer. And you know, and I tell people all the time, man. My wife would say the same thing if she was here, man. Our time in Jefferson County, man, was really special to me and my family. And you know, JJ, you know, he's you know, he tells everybody all the time, like you know, he tells Lenoris, like, you know, Lenoris is like, Coach, he's like, JJ's built a little bit different, man. He's a little bit tougher and a little bit grimier than, you know, some other guys. And JJ reminds Lenoris all the time. He said, hey, Coach, don't forget, you ain't the only one born in Jefferson County, dog. He said, I got some of that. He said, I got some of that J County blood in me too. You know what I mean? So he doesn't let Norris, and sometimes Norris he'll say, hey, Coach, he said he ain't wrong. He has just like one of them cats from Jefferson County. I said, I know it, right? But no, man, I appreciate you having me on, man. And any time, man, if we get, you know, closer to the season, during the season, man, you want to chop it up, talk a little college football, man. Hoping these Auburn Tigers make a little push this year, and maybe we make a bowl run, man. Get in a bowl game, man. That'll be kind of cool. I know your Seminoles been struggling a little bit, so maybe your Seminoles, maybe the Seminoles and the Auburn Tigers, maybe we'll have something to talk about.
Yeah,
football season.
we will. Yeah, hey, we will. But hey, Coach, I definitely would love to have you on again. I would definitely get you on. We could talk about college football, Auburn, Florida State, just different things. But I love the life aspect of telling kids, letting kids know, especially these guys, they got to be a man one day. They're gonna have their own family one day. I love letting young men know that, you know, that is you might be in football now, it might be high school football now, but if you don't make it, you still need to be a great dad one day. You need to be, you know, stuff like that. So definitely, man, Coach. Thank you for coming out with me tonight, man.
Absolutely, man.
Everybody,
hopefully we get you over here for a game in the fall, man.
Oh yeah. I got to come to Panama City. I get over there and come to the game.
Well, yeah, you and Trey got to come, man. I'll get y'all some sideline passes. Heck, I may even let y'all sit up in the press box and talk to me and Norris on the headphones.
Yeah, I definitely got to talk to Trey about that. But man, everybody, thank you. Everybody, thank you for watching tonight, man. I got a great guest on. I'm gonna give y'all a bunch of clips from this podcast tomorrow on 4th of July. Coach Brown, thank you again for coming out with me, man. This has been another great episode of Chop It Up with KJ, man. Once again, Coach Brown, man. We had Coach Brown on tonight, man. One of the greatest coaches. Hey, Coach, one of the greatest coaches came through Jefferson. So everybody, y'all already know who it is.
There's been some good ones come through there, so I appreciate to be mentioning that. I appreciate it, my man.
Yeah, y'all already know who it is, Coach Brown, man. Thank y'all again.
All right, my brother. Good